Hi, let's have a look at a success case study from the Global Talent Visa. So not many of these applications have been made. It was introduced as a visa route relatively new a few months ago, and then of course we had the COVID crisis. So not many applications have gone through, but I'm pleased to report back on a case study, having spoken with a successful applicant a couple of days back. I'm just going to share the story, and hopefully I'm going to have an interview with her. And I've also got another success case study with an interview coming up very soon. So feel free to subscribe to be notified of those when they come up. Now you can see this route. I think this is the best place to start with Global Talent. If you haven't looked at it in detail before, Global Talent route has various sub routes. One of which is digital technology. So it goes science, engineering, humanities, and medicine. Digital technology is currently Technation that assesses that. Arts and culture, architecture and fashion, and then film and TV. So the case studies that I've got coming up from successful applicants, I've got two of them in digital technology, and I've got a fashion one, and then an arts and culture one. So yeah, loads of content for you on this subject pretty soon. Now within digital technology, you've got the fast track route, exceptional talent, and then exceptional promise. And in this case, this lady was in fact unsuccessful in applying for exceptional talent, but then successful in applying for under the exceptional promise route. And I'll explain what she did differently in the two different applications. So what we're going to do is focus on the second part of this diagram, which is the digital technology route. And as I say, that you've got the three limbs. Now, just for completeness, I'm going to explain what the fast track route is. So the fast track route involves endorsement. You've got to have been accepted by one of the following incubators, which are listed in the list here. And then under exceptional talent, it's challenging, of course, but you've got a number of criteria which we'll look at in a moment. And then exceptional promise is the one that I want to focus on. Now, the guidance here, I've just got another slide for this so we can have a look at it in a bit more detail with more clarity. So basically, within exceptional promise, you've got two different routes. You've got the technical applicants and business applicants. Now, the really super interesting thing about this case study is this was a business route. If you've got the technical skills, then it's easier to provide the empirical evidence to support your application as a general rule than it is as a business applicant. So it says technical applicants must demonstrate proven technical expertise with the latest technologies in building, using, deploying, and exploiting a technology stack and building the technical infrastructure. So business applicants, by contrast, must demonstrate proven commercial investment or product expertise in building digital products or leading investments in significant digital product businesses. So quite intimidating sounding criteria for both, but hopefully it'll be a bit clearer how this lady satisfied it when I explain it in a moment. So for exceptional promise, she needed to satisfy one of the key exceptional promise criteria and two of the qualifying exceptional promise criteria in the list below. So you've got the key criteria here, which are these ones, and we'll have a look at those in a sec. And you've got the qualifying criteria, so you've got to do two of the qualifying and one of the key criteria. So for the key criteria, the one that she actually satisfied both, and I'll explain how. So the first one was provide more than one example of innovation in the digital technology sector as a founder of a product-led digital technology company or an employee working in a new digital field or concept that must be clearly evidenced. So more than one example. So you need at least two examples of innovation in the digital technology sector as a founder of a product-led technology company, or as an employee working in a new digital field or concept. So you can either be the founder or the employee. Now, in this case, she was the founder of a successful business which was based around the sale of furniture, where there was an approach to basically marketing packages of furniture as that had a homogeneous style, and had sold these styles as digital products rather than the individual products. She was selling groups of them, and that was new to the market. It was new to the market. It hadn't been done before, certainly in her market, and it had led to an increased revenue. So if we look at this, an example of innovation in the digital technology sector. So although it was a traditional business in the sense of selling furniture, it was they were selling it digitally. As the founder, so she was the founder of a product-led digital technology company. The product in question was these styles, these groups of styles for the furniture items and furnishing items that she was selling. So it was digital technology. It did involve innovation. It was new to the market, hadn't been done before, and she was the founder, and it was product-led. Now, product-led could refer to, I've often understood this as being product-led in the sense of the digital product or an app or something like this. Now, in this case, this was a web app, which in and of itself isn't new, but it was she was selling products. I suppose these were physical products, of course, because it's ultimately furniture and furnishings. But they were packaged together as a digital product that people could buy, and therefore it qualified. So she needed more than one. That was one. So the second one was, in fact, something that she'd done when she came to the UK, and she'd studied. And while she was studying her MA in the UK, I call it an MA. It involved entrepreneurial and business elements. So I suppose it was closer to an MBA. But while she was studying it, she was involved in working with the university's sort of support group to help people who are starting businesses to do some market research, where she was interfacing directly with purchasers of furniture and taking details about that, but doing it through a digital interface. So in other words, they had to answer questions set out in a digital form, and the way she went about it hadn't been done before. So of course, the concept of market research in itself wasn't that new, but the way that she was doing it was in the context of designing an app. So it wasn't the same business, it was a separate business, but an app through which people could choose different furniture items and furnishings, and have an interface where they could place those items virtually into a room. So you put in the room dimensions, I suppose, a bit like you have in IKEA. In fact, they do have something like this in IKEA, don't they? Where you have you give them the dimensions, and then they, using their own software, show where the different IKEA items will fit in. So this was similar, but it was open to third-party products. So that was the idea. And again, this satisfied the definition. So innovation, yes, it was innovative. It was in the digital technology sector. She was the founder and it was a product-led digital technology company that was being developed. So for all these reasons, this was a second example of innovation, and therefore by doing that she'd satisfied the key criteria. Now, and did it, as a business applicant rather than as a technology applicant. Now the second example here, the second key criteria that you can fulfill, and in this case she didn't need to fulfill it because you only need one and she'd fulfilled the first, is proof of recognition of work outside the applicant's immediate occupation that has contributed to the advancement of the sector, e.g. evidence they've gone beyond their day-to-day profession to engage in an activity that contributes to the advancement of the sector. So it's got to be work outside of your immediate occupation that's contributed to the advancement of the sector. Now, I had understood this a few years back when, under the previous equivalent visa route, that this was, advancements in the sense of, new technology innovations, but outside of your immediate occupation. Let's say if you were, a coder and you were working on something, open source that was then picked up and deployed elsewhere, that would be something that you're working on outside of your immediate occupation. So, working as a coder in your job. But this was interesting in the context of business. What she had done is she'd contributed to helping younger people, particularly women, who were getting into digital technology. So that's really interesting, because it is contributing to the advancement of the sector in a way that's helping young people and women who may experience more barriers than men to entering the profession on grounds of discrimination, and so she was helping young women to overcome that. So I think what that shows is that if you're a business applicant, you can be doing something broader, but in the sense of either charitable activity or activity that's perhaps assisting the lower end of your profession, in the sense of younger people who are either entering or considering entering the profession, rather than necessarily registering patents and so forth. So I think it broadened, or it's confirmation that this particular test can be satisfied in other ways. So that's something you might want to draw out as a business applicant if you have been, or if you're planning an application, you're looking at what to do. It may be that your extracurricular activities could fall within a context where you're helping younger people in your sector or in the digital sector. So those are the two key criteria. As I say, she met the first one. And in terms of the other ones, qualifying criteria, so for these you need two, and the options are: number one, you've made significant commercial or entrepreneurial contributions in the digital technology sector as the founder or employee of a product-led digital company. Now that may overlap with the key criteria, but I would say that's not the most straightforward to go for most people. The second is you've been recognized as having the potential to be a leading talent in the digital technology sector. Now that may overlap with the letters of recommendation that you have to prepare, because that could be one of the things that you're asking your referees to confirm, if it is the case. The next one is that you've undergone continuous learning or mastery of new digital skills throughout your career. Now this is one that people often go for. So all these successful applicants that I've either acted for or spoken with, they've gone for this one. So in other words, you can show that you've undergone continuous learning or mastery of new digital skills, commercial or digital. So accent on commercial for the business applicants, because you're likely to have a lot of qualifications under your belt, and to have been continuously pushing yourself and advancing your career. So that's one of the easier ones to satisfy, and that is one of the ones that she did rely on in this case. That's not to say she couldn't satisfy the others. So number 4 is that you provide more than one example of innovation in the field by making academic contributions through research endorsed by a research supervisor or other expert. Provide more than one example of innovation in the field by making academic contributions through research endorsed by a research supervisor or other expert. Now, I think where this can work, as it did in her case, that she was working closely with the academics on her MA case, which MA degree, which had a strong element of innovation and creativity in it. There are specific MAs that you can take that have an innovation component, that have creativity, innovation, research in the title. And so what you could do looking ahead is look to satisfy this criteria through the work that you're doing with your university. Or in theory, it could be a university abroad. But certainly, if you're coming to the UK initially, or if you're in the UK at the moment studying, then that could be a great option. So that, combined with having undergone continuous learning, would get you there in terms of meeting the qualifying criteria. So I hope that's helpful. I'm just going to zoom out here. Now, there are some other aspects of this diagram that I wanted to go through. Most importantly, the documents, the supporting documents. I'm actually going to be producing like a rescue pack of documents, precedent documents that you can use, and examples you can use for the supporting letters and the other documents that you need to produce, and the covering letters and that sort of thing, which give you some pointers and structure to your application. So when that's ready, I'll link it in the description below. In the meantime, if you and I'll do a separate video because I've run out of time now. I'll do a separate video on the supporting documents and the requirements around that anyway. And of course, we've got the interviews with successful applicants coming up. So again, do subscribe if you fancy looking at those. And if you'd like to arrange a consultation with me, I'd be very happy to assist you. You can contact me on the details below. Thanks so much for your time. Bye for now.